Welcome, students. Today we're going to talk about body image, and it's something I feel very strongly about. And so I'm excited to talk to you about this. Wish I could do it in person, but this will have to do. So my question for you is, does beauty equal health? And so what we have to think about is what we think of as beauty. So this, right? Like all girls should look like this, and all boys should look like the picture on the right. Obviously, this is not true, but this is often what the media likes to push onto people, that this is what we should look like. So is this healthy? It may be beautiful, but is it healthy? Let's look at some celebrities. Okay, so boys, I want you to take a long look at the girl pictures. Well, not too long. And decide, is that beautiful? And girls, look at the boy pictures. Okay, so upper left, how I got my body back. First of all, that is not her body. There's no way, having a child that young, that is her body without photoshopping and airbrushing and all of that. So it's a little bit unrealistic. Now take a look at the other pictures, especially the one in the bottom center. Um, is that beautiful? Now I've surveyed classes every semester, and boys will vehemently say no, that's not beautiful. It's unhealthy, but it's something that the media likes to push. Now, if we look at the boy pictures, girls often say, yeah, that's really good looking, really healthy. And in most cases, yeah, I mean, they're not unhealthy. However, if a boy wants to look like that, it requires hours and hours of work. So ladies, if you want anything to be up in their heads, they got to spend a little bit of time there as well. So it's a little bit unrealistic, and again, we're photoshopping and airbrushing a lot of these pictures, but this is what we have pounded into us from a very young age. This is what we should look like. And unfortunately, that's led to this problem in women especially, that they look in the mirror and they see someone who's fat, even though they're not fat. And so what we want to do is avoid this kind of an image, a body image, where we are never satisfied with the reflection that we see in the mirror. Now, obviously, boys look in the mirror and see this. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. This is an issue for men as well. Now, not quite this dramatic, but this is the only picture I could find. But it's more so an issue for women. All right, so let's look at some pictures of the human body. So I've edited them for you because, anyway. The middle picture is a drawing from a biology textbook of what the female and male bodies should look like. The bottom right in blue, this is an actual image of a person that they used in an anatomy textbook. So this is the picture of health and beauty, in my opinion, of a body. And you can see that the women are not voluptuous. They don't have tiny little waists. There's bumps and rolls and in places where you should have bumps and rolls. The man's body's not chiseled with a six-pack and pecs, and it looks very normal. And that's what, as biologists and as scientists, we picture the human body looking like. Now, up in the upper left, hopefully you recognize that as Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was the picture of beauty back in the 60s, and you can see that she's not the look that we give to models today, right? She's actually pretty hefty, but beautiful nonetheless. All right, so some statistics to take note of. So among college students, 35% of normal dieters will progress to pathological dieting, and of those, 20 to 25% will develop a full spectrum eating disorder. 6% of freshmen come into college with an eating disorder, so that's men and women. But in women, it's a lot higher. 15% of college-age women have eating disorders. And you might think, well, no, that doesn't happen here at BYU. It does. 15% of women have eating disorders. Now, this isn't always anorexia and bulimia. This can be an eating disorder like overeating, binge eating, all kinds of eating disorders. Okay, so this is a loosely used term. However, one of the biggest problems is undereating, or eating in the way that a bulimic eats. All right, 40% of female college students have eating disorders. This is from another source, up to 25% of males. I'm not sure it's as high as 40% that have full-blown anorexia or bulimia, but women of this age and men tend to be very obsessed with nutrition and eating. And that's what an eating disorder is defined as. If you have any kind of obsession with eating, that you think about it more than you think about other things, that you control in some way the things that go in your mouth to a degree that is dangerous to your health. Okay, 91% of female college students have attempted to control their weight through dieting. That's not surprising. That kind of goes all the way up the spectrum from college age on. But this is what's disturbing, right? So the average woman in the U.S. today weighs 140 pounds and wears a size 12. But the average model today weighs 103 pounds and wears a size 4. So you can see the disconnect from what's put on the screen in front of you and what's actually real. Now, I have to tell you, when I was in college, way back in the Stone Age, it was the fat-free craze. It was all the rage, and everybody was eating fat-free, and I didn't know any better, and I didn't have a lot of nutrition training. So when I was in college, I had an eating disorder, and I didn't realize until much later in life that I had had an eating disorder. But I did not eat any fat, and no protein, and no sweets. So, or hardly any sweets. So when I was in college, I literally lived off of fat-free refried beans, fat-free tortillas, frozen peas and corn, a little bit of ketchup for seasoning, and breakfast cereal with skim milk. And so I never had any fat, and I never had any meat, and it was bad for me. And the funny thing is, I weighed 10 pounds more then than I do now after having 4 children. So it was not healthy for me. And as a consequence, my gallbladder, which controls the release of bile when you eat fatty foods, so you need it when you eat fatty foods, because I wasn't eating anything that required the gallbladder, my gallbladder shriveled and it died. And so right after I got married, when my husband started to force regular food on me, I began to have severe health problems and ended up having my gallbladder removed. And I've suffered with health problems ever since. And I wish that somebody had just said to me, you have an eating disorder, and this is something that you could control and fix by learning proper nutrition. So that's why I talk about it in here, because it's something that's sort of really damaged my well-being for the rest of my life. And so it's something that I want you girls especially to hear. So here's a picture. This is my mom and my sister. So a lot of your body, is genetic, right? And so, yes, no, I know, I don't look anything like my mother and my sister. I'm kind of the odd one out in my entire family, but we do have body types. And so my mother is by no means a fat person, but I remember her giving me some skirts one time that she said, these will probably be way too big for you, because I was sort of a fat person in college. And I could not even get them zipped. They were so tiny. And the fact that she thought she was a fat person and wore that tiny, tiny little skirt was just amazing to me. And then my sister, she's just a bigger boned person. So my mom's side of the family is Germanic, and my dad's side of the family is Scandinavian. And the Scandinavian people are all string bean, scrawny Ethiopian-looking people. And the Germanic people are all much larger boned, more robust people. And I got my dad's genes, and so I'm very stringy Scandinavian, whereas my sister got the Germanic genes, and she's a lot bigger boned, but she's all bone and muscle. And it's always bothered her that she's always weighed way more than me, and but never has looked like a fat person. She just is a larger person. So stepping on the scale and comparing your weight is a bad thing to do, because she's just as healthy, if not healthier. She could bench press me, healthier than me, but a very different weight. So don't let the scale dictate how you feel. If you look in the mirror and you're happy with what you see, that's all that matters, right? And even then, you need to question what you're seeing when you look in the mirror. All right, so let's talk about nutrition. What's the right amount of nutrients to have? What's the wrong amount? What happens if you have too much? What happens if you have too little? And I'm going to pause right here and check my recording to make sure that it's going.